So let's get into it. So this is a deal I did years ago. First of all, I can't even believe how blessed I've been to be in this niche for years, right? I started off wholesaling, buy and holds, rentals, and I fell into subject to on mistake. I ended up buying a property that had some liens on it. I had already rehabbed that property before we closed. So there was no turning back. I had to find a way to buy that house no matter what. And that's how I mistaked myself into subject to. So let's go ahead and take a look at the property we're talking about. Let me share my screen here. Okay, so this is the property. At the time, it was new construction. It is your nice typical 3-bed, 2.5 bath in a new construction area. Now, if you've ever heard me talk about this, or especially if you've taken one of my courses, you know that for me, I like to buy really nice houses when I'm buying them subject to. I've been a landlord. It is not fun having to fix stuff up. And if I want to do, well, I've been a flipper for a very long time, but I don't want to do work, right? I just want this to be quick and easy. I just want to get a house and sell it with owner financing. So I prefer pretty houses. And for me, that typically means houses that are newer construction. Now, wholesalers are like, oh my God, how are you going to do that? There's no equity. Well, that's the beauty in subject to or having a mortgage takeover, that you really don't need to have high equity. As a matter of fact, low equity or no equity is perfectly fine because the equity is created in the deal. In the course, I teach you exactly how to break all of that stuff down. But for the sake of time today and just getting to the point, I'll keep it moving. So here's the house, nice, new construction. These are actually after photos of once I already sold it, but when I Googled it, this is what came up. It came up with the photos after I sold it. But anyway, this is it. Nice house, 3-bed, 2-bath, beautiful gated community, gorgeous neighborhood. Couldn't really ask for much more in that regard. So voila, that's what the house looked like, right? Nice. So this house at the time was worth $185,000. So we went ahead and did the mortgage takeover. Now let me walk you through what that looks like on paper, okay? Is this when I sold it? Yeah, this is when I bought it. Okay, so essentially you see here the purchase price. This is what I bought the house for, $185,247.10. Okay, but you also see here there's some closing costs. So we'll talk about how I was able to manage that a little bit later. So all in all, it was $188,799.58 to buy this property. How much did I give to the seller for the house? Can you guys see that right there? I wonder if it'll let me annotate. Yeah, let's annotate this a little bit. $0, okay? $0 because I took over the loan subject to. Now I know we're gonna have some people out there right now like, but is that legal? Are you allowed to do that? Oh my God. Okay, a HUD settlement statement is created by the federal government, right? It is under the federal housing laws, everything that you need. You can look it up. I actually have that in a course where you can have a link right to the HUD website, but you can literally just Google it. But anyway, if you look here, what does it say on the HUD? Existing loans taken subject to. Okay, so yes, it is legal. Yes, it is actually becoming a lot more common. I love people like me and other teachers who we are teaching people about this niche, because for so long it's been like such a hush hush, or only certain people had access to it. And now we're making sure that so many people, many more people get access. So anyway, yes, you can take over loans subject to. So you can see here on the buy side where I was buying it, loans taken subject to, and on the sell side where it's being sold to me, taken subject to. All right, anyway, so the main things I wanted you guys to see from this HUD is I paid the seller $0, like nothing, nada, zero. That's why it's called a mortgage takeover. Okay, and people are like, well, why would someone just give you their house? Well, she didn't just give me her house, right? She also gave me the responsibility of taking care of that mortgage payment every single month on time. And what that does for some sellers, people always ask, why would a seller do this? Okay, several reasons. I'll run them down real quick, but in the course, we'll, really, of course, break it down a little bit. Number one, this seller just wanted to move into a bigger house, but she didn't have any equity. So if she were to try to sell the house, she would have to pay closing costs. She'd have to get it all fixed up and nice, and realtors in and out, and buyers in and out, all of that good stuff. She was ready to move on and go. So this made it fast. Number two, she, was it her or her dad? she was receiving some kind of government assistance. And if she were to get a big lump sum for her house, it would not be in her interest because she would lose some of those benefits. What's another reason people sell with seller? So many reasons. I've had people sell because they already had a house being built, and they needed to show that the previous house was sold so that they can go ahead and move forward with the next transaction. Lots of investors and financially savvy people also sell with subject to. That's why I sell a lot of my properties subject to with owner financing as well, because those capital gains mess up my taxes, right? So for me, it's better for me to get those installment payments over time than it is for me to get one big lump sum. I get to keep more of that money and give less of it to Uncle Sam. Another reason why a lot of financially savvy people do this as well is we understand residual and passive income, right? We want to get paid like forever, not just one time. So anyway, lots of reasons why people sell, but this particular person sold because she was ready to move on to a larger home and she didn't have a lot of equity in the house. And that's where my expertise came in. Okay, so that's it. You might be like, okay, Ashley, now you have a house, but how did you make money? Wait, I always forget to do this. Let me pause and see if there's any questions, and then I'll move on to how I sold it and made a 5-figure profit from this deal in 2 weeks. Let me take this annotation on. I want you guys also to pay attention here to the settlement date. All right, so we settled this on the 17th, and I want to show you how quickly I was able to turn this around and make a profit. Give me a sec. Let me stop the share, make sure we don't have any questions, and then I'll move on. Hey, Precious, thank you so much. All right, I don't see any questions on here right now. So just to review what we just talked about before I move on to the how I made money off of it. Essentially, I learned subject to. I learned it the hard way. That's why I teach it the hard way. When you take my course, it is very much scenario based. And you have to work in groups or in cohorts. And you guys have to problem solve ways to buy and sell these houses. That way, when you're in the real world, you're not trying to go back to what did paragraph 4 say in the manual. It's like, no, I've already dealt with this scenario when we did this in class. Here's what I need to do, or here's the most profitable exit strategy. So I teach it simply, but I don't teach it easily. I hope that makes sense. But anyway, essentially, we had someone who wanted to sell their home. They didn't have enough equity to sell it traditionally. They were already ready to move on. As a matter of fact, they already had signed their closing docs for their next house. They were just ready to move on. I came in, took over the mortgage payments. I gave the seller $0, but then in exchange, of course, I was on the hook for making sure those mortgage payments were made every single month. Now, legally, do I have to make the mortgage payments? Well, no, right? But morally, do I have to? Absolutely. Are you serious? This is my business. Hello. All right, so I'm going to share my screen again, and this time we're going to talk about the sell side. How was I able to sell this property and make a profit off of it? I know some people right now are asking like, well, if you could have just made a profit, why didn't she just sell her house herself and make a profit? Because she did not have the expertise that I have that you are going to have once you take this course. And this is why we always say knowledge gives you the potential and the action gives you the power. Of course, had she had this knowledge, she should have took my course, just like I'm telling you guys to. If you're looking to sell your house or buy another house and you're not even trying to be an investor, you still need to take this course. That way you have a better way or another way to have an exit. All right, anyway, let's look at the sell side. So if you remember on the buy side, I bought this house for $185,000 and I was able to sell this house for what? $197,500. Now I actually sold it for $205,000, but I don't want to get too complicated and complex in how I was able to make multiple streams of income from this one deal. And of course, I'll break that down, but here for the sake of keeping it simple, I'm not going to get into all of that, but technically the house was sold for $205,000. But here on the HUD settlement statement, we'll go with that. It says $197,500. Now in this scenario, the buyer, the person who's buying it from me, pays the closing costs. Now, if you remember, my closing costs were $3,500. Their closing cost is $5,500. Okay, so that's how I'm able to cover those closing costs that way. You just let the title company know what you're doing, and they're always happy to help you. As you can see, the funding date, right? So I bought this house on May 17th, 2019, and I sold this house on May 31st, 2019. All right, so 2 weeks, I gave $0 to the seller, and 2 weeks later, I was able to sell it and walk away with about $12,000 in cash. And it was simply just because I knew how to do this method. I didn't do anything special. There was no cleaning up. There were no repairs. There was nothing. I almost hate that it's that simple, right? Because I know people are like, what's the magic? And I'm like, it's just knowing and having the information. That is literally it, right? So anyway, you see on the HUD, I ended up walking away with, because at this time now I'm the seller, $11,587.67. And that is from what you guys saw, a $0 investment. Okay, I invested $0 in this property. Well, I invested $0, but I invested my knowledge, right? That counts for something. And I walked away with $11,587 in 2 weeks. All right, so that is just one very simple example. And this is one of the ones I did earlier in my career. You can imagine in the last 3 years, I've been knocking these babies out left and right, but I always like to share the ones I did in the beginning, especially when I'm teaching people who are also in the beginning of their investing career. That way you can, or at least for me, it also brings up like those the emotions and the mindset that I was in when I was still in the beginning of it, because it helps me just to relate a little bit more. And so if you missed the part where I showed the house, it's a beautiful home. Beautiful, brand new construction, awesome neighborhood, great school district, just a wonderful, a wonderful home that anyone should be happy to live in. So anyway, I am offering a Black Friday deal for this course. In the course, you're going to learn to do exactly what I just showed you that I did. I'm going to show you the zero down method that I did in the beginning of my career, so that you can see how to do it too. Now, this was just in May. Within this year, by the next year, May like 2020, I had already owned like $650,000 worth of real estate just from doing this method. That doesn't include my buy and holds. That doesn't include what I was doing with wholesaling, just straight up mortgage takeovers. It was about $650,000 in my portfolio of properties that I owned simply just by doing this same method, putting $0 down and being able to flip the house. I hate saying flip because people think that means work, but sell the house quickly. Sometimes I would sell the house in the same day and make my profit. I mean, I've gotten so good at it now that I can literally already have the house sold before I even have the house purchased. But anyway, $997. So $997. Right now, the course is usually $3,997. And if you want coaching in addition to that, you're looking upward to the $5,000, $10,000 range. But today, for Black Friday only, I am offering the course for $997, and that is going to include a coaching session with me. Because I've learned that if I just give people this course, they'll do it. But if I give them the course and the coaching, they feel like a little bit more accountability and they're more likely to take action. If you haven't already heard about this course, it was the #1 best-selling course internationally for 2 weeks. We've had so many awards and accolades, so many reviews and beautiful testimonies about this course. So it's definitely worth the $3,997. But for Black Friday, we are definitely going to bring that price down to $997. Now, if you've already overspent and you don't have $997 right now, that's okay. $297 will secure your spot, and then you can make monthly payments moving forward. We're going to start the cohort on January 30th. So January 30th, if you want to get the coaching and the full experience, that's the time you want to start the cohort with us. I'm going to walk you through it, and I'm going to teach you how to close deals just like this, left and right. All right, I'm going to hop off here because I still have to go and talk to the YouTube audience and the TikTok audience and all of that good stuff. But hey, if you like what you learned here, leave me some comments. If you're interested in joining us for our cohort that starts on January 30th, you will need to register today if you want to get it at the $997 price. But of course, this course is available every single day to you. It's just available for $3,997 when it's not Black Friday. Okay, guys. I hope to see you in class on January 30th, and I can't wait to see you guys. Bye.